Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back with another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Monday, July 9th, and we are back to, I guess, a regular cycle now. We've got 3 daily quests from the weekends, and for the most part they are the same daily quests that we had before. Although I don't think I've ever seen this I can't even daily quest where you play for the odd cost cards. That's going to be interesting to see if I have something set up for that. Tavern Brawls not out, and I guess there's nothing else to really do, so I've moved my chat box over here a little bit smaller. I'm thinking I probably also need to make the font a little bit bigger, the color a lot brighter. It's probably pretty hard to read. Unfortunately, I don't think it's ever going to have the text come from the top like it used to, now that there's been changes made. So we'll just have to live with that. Let's just hop into a game, I guess, and start doing the news. We need a druid or rogue, and we need to play pirates, so I'm pretty sure there's a deck somewhere around here that has pirates in the name. Yeah, we have a pirates combo over here. Play this, play that way, and hop in. So news-wise, there's a lot, certainly. I wanted to start streaming about an hour ago and just managed to sit around for an hour still browsing the news and just getting ready for it. So in that 1 hour, it seems like there's been a pretty good ramp up of news. It seems like there's specific deadline times that happen for most of the Twitter feeds I see. They probably are getting ready to end their work days. Just a lot of news in general for a lot of different reasons. The consistent problem is the duplicate tabs issue of just opening the exact same news story over and over again. It's really weird that Chrome does not automatically detect that and go, hey, these pages are the exact same. Do you really need 2 of them open? Because you really don't. That unless it has some kind of form data that you're filling in, there's no reason to have 2 pages open. First bit of news we have: Overwatch's Pink Mercy outfit DLC raised nearly $13 million for breast cancer research. They went to the Breast Cancer Research Foundation, not the mostly fraudulent, in my opinion, organization that usually is associated with pink, the color pink, and breast cancer. 13 million is a considerable amount. Usually in stories like this, I have to say, actually they raised a laughable amount, and it's kind of ridiculous that that's the small amount of money that they raised. In this instance, I can't make that argument. I believe it was 22 or 24 million was raised throughout all of Summer Games Done Quick, and they're the pace setter as far as I know, as far as making do I play this and get +1/+1, or do I play this and get a taunt? I'm gonna play this and do this. There we go. I think being an Overwatch skin helped it a lot. I think this pink outfit is really, really pretty and cool looking. As somebody who doesn't play Overwatch, I like the way that character Mercy looks in pink. She looks good in a regular outfit too. So I wouldn't be surprised if a couple million of the 12 million that they raised, I mean 13 million that they raised, was simply around the fact that the skin looked good. Whereas in comparison, the Fallout 76 thing where you're buying a song that you could buy anywhere else isn't really putting any effort. The Shadow of Mordor thing where you were supposed to buy DLC where a percentage of that originally was gonna go to the family, but it then changed from a percentage to all of it, and still didn't feel right or feel like a good deal.
Blood and plunder.
Let's see.
Watch this.
What am I supposed to be playing right now? Pirates? Play these pirates. So good on them for doing something good. I can't find anything to be snarky about here or complain about. Moving on, PC Gamer has an article. Darksiders 3 will be out in November. The third Horseman of the Apocalypse will battle to prove she's the most powerful of them all. Well then, what is the deal with the fourth Horseman of the Apocalypse? Then that introduces something questionable. Okay. This is fine. Let's do this and this. And then attack here. Attack here. Yep. Darksiders 3 was originally supposed to be a co-op game. Having almost completely finished Warcraft and the Temple of Osiris, I've done all the main story. There's just 2 rather expensive DLCs for about $5 each that added 2 hopefully long temples, but they won't be that long. Warcraft and the Temple of Osiris is also selling for like $30 on average. It's way too expensive of a game. But that is a 4-player online co-op game, and playing it alone makes it a little less fun. I don't think the online co-op actually adds too much to it there, but I can see it adding a little bit of some fun gameplay playback. But in general, I think the fad of adding co-op to everything has long since stopped. It makes sense sometimes if it's part of the story and makes sense, but most of the times it didn't make any sense. For instance, Temple of Osiris, first player forced to play as Warcraft. Everybody else, I assume, gets to pick between playing as Carter, Isis, who is an Egyptian god, unfortunate name there, and her son Horus, and they're trying to bring back her wife, Horus's father, Osiris, throughout the whole game. There was room for more Egyptian lore compared to, say, Assassin's Creed Origins, where like they did more of that than Temple of Osiris did. But Temple of Osiris is a much cheaper made game. It's a much smaller game. So yeah, my point there is Darksiders 3 is not a co-op game, and I'm not 100% sure what it is. They, in a interesting move, stopped showing footage of what they had to show after the first couple of videos that they released. And the first couple of videos of Darksiders 3 really showed that the game wasn't as far along as I thought it would be. There's a big question, I guess, of what is the amount of time that they've been working on this game. Looking at a trailer right now that is selling action figures of Death and War and Fury and Virgil. 10-inch action figures. That these don't even look like the final products or pictures of the final products. They look more like they're CG things. So Fury has this whip mechanic, and one assumes that she's going to have a higher level of agility than what we saw War or Death have, which War and Death both could climb the platform and jump, but they were generally pretty heavy characters that stayed on the ground that could slide very fast. I wouldn't be surprised if Fury is a lot more like flying through the air type actions. That's another thing about playing Lara Croft in the Temple of Osiris is this is the Lara Croft of the old series where she did backflips and side flips and cartwheels and rolls and jumped and it's shocking since I didn't play the original series, and I probably need to go back and try and play whatever I can play since I own them all. It's really shocking to see how the reboot stripped Lara Croft away from being the Tomb Raider and having all the abilities that you would expect. She doesn't have her dual pistols at the end of Rise of the Tomb Raider. Not really. She doesn't have any real agility. She's not jumping. She's not swinging on ropes that much. There are swinging on ropes sections, but they're, for the most part, a Metroidvania-esque element that you collect some item to let you transfer into a new area. That there's an over-focus on a bow and arrow, which really should have just been in the first reboot game, and she should have at that end not had a bow and arrow in Rise of the Tomb Raider at all. I don't see why it's any less violent to shoot somebody with an arrow than it is to shoot them with dual pistols. But yeah, that reboot Lara Croft is just not the old Lara Croft. She doesn't wear the same colors. I won't argue that she should be in super short hot pants. I think that was always ridiculous. But she doesn't wear like a blue tank top either. And I'm not going to argue for the hourglass figure. I think there were improvements on some of that, but then her actual physical ability, her actual attitude, her actual level of intelligence and knowledge as an archaeologist seem to be missing in the reboot. Also, other archaeologists seem to be missing in the reboot. Like, there's Carter, who is another archaeologist. She was competing again in Temple of Osiris. I just watched somebody speedrun through Tomb Raider Anniversary, which is the remake of the first game. It's pretty old at this point. And in that instance also, there's another archaeologist or thief or something. So yeah, I'm really learning about just how they kind of ruined a very well established genre when they handed it over to Crystal Dynamics, and when Square Enix just stopped really caring about it. And Square Enix in general has done the same to Deus Ex and has done the same to Hitman, and I guess thank goodness Hitman's not under their control anymore. So the question is, can somebody manage to managed to wrangle Deus Ex and Lara Croft out from Square Enix. I'm not sure I 100% believe that if Crystal Dynamics did get the rights to Tomb Raider, that they would do much better alone, but they probably would. Anyways, though, I'm supposed to be talking about Darksiders, and there's really nothing in this PC Gamer article. Some of that shows in video, and that's the concerning part. My THQ Nordic has just again acquired another company, and my fear is that in their ever continuing quest to acquire every company they can, they're spending too much money, and that this might be a game that's getting rushed out to make them more money. They've been pushing Darksiders 3, but they really haven't been pushing the game. They've been pushing cosplayers, they've been pushing let's see, the last video when I clicked Darksiders 3 as a tag on PC Gamer that has footage is December 20th, 2017, 6 months ago, and this is the footage I was looking at, so I'm talking about.
Taste my blade.
Like, maybe the issue here is they were showing the wrong part of the game. All of the Darksiders series have been pretty slow about how fast you kill things. Her whip attack, at least in this section, seems to be rather powerful, and so you're not doing too much. And she is doing backflips and forward flips, and that's what I would assume. And she's about to swing on a pole. I would imagine that her swing attack is a system that is going to be built into her whip. Wow, she just did a tornado spin. She hit a wall and spun like a tornado to get up higher. Interesting. So she's not limited to realistic moves. Now she's fighting a demon. The hope is that this game is much more of an adventure game like the first one, and that they've kind of forgotten the RPG open world elements that were in the second game. She's absorbing souls in the cutscene, so that assumes that she's gonna get souls and use them. But I kind of feel like Darksiders 3 is 50-50. Just not sure. We have until November, so if they start to ramp up the advertisement, maybe that will dissuade my fears. And I really want Darksiders 3 to be successful. I really want to see Darksiders 4 come out. I'd like the whole story to wrap up. Frankly, if they just decide to wrap up the whole story in Darksiders 3 and then reboot in Darksiders 4 for another trilogy, that would be fine by me, assuming it's done well. Arguably, if I continue down my general opinion that they overhype games and talk about them way too early, maybe now that they've announced the release date is the first time that I should have been talking about this game or even heard anything about Darksiders 3. If I didn't have the years of hype before this point, if I didn't have the love of Darksiders 1 and 2, if I just heard about Darksiders 3 now, and this was the beginning of the hype train, maybe from this point to November, it will be good. They certainly are putting it in the release frame of a AAA games for sale and release in the holiday season. And if it gets delayed out of November into December, well, then that's a big issue as far as sales, and if it gets delayed and pushed out of December, then it's going to be delayed at least, I'd say, 4 or 5 months. Like, they're not going to bother to release it in the January or February, maybe February, if it's really, really delayed. And that's a big question to ask, is how much and how many delays can THQ Nordic afford to have. Also, THQ Nordic, with all their acquisitions, I'm not sure they really have a main IP character that would I don't know if they have any other AAA game series that they could lean back on and work on right now. Moving on, I talked about that too long ago. Gamasutra has an article. Nexon and EA canceled the Asia exclusive Titanfall Online. So Nexon and EA have ended development on the team-up project that would have brought an entirely new Titanfall game called Titanfall Online exclusively to Asian markets. Seems like there was a brief flash in the pan where people felt that they could make online games in the Asian market and make money because the Asian market is less likely to actually pay for a game at full price, and I'm feeling like that's probably just been an abandoned concept. Right, so I need to play odd cards, and I need to get a rogue or druid victory, and I imagine, regardless if even or odd, if you have a quest to play even or odd cards, playing a Murloc deck works pretty well because you're going to have a collection of 1 mana, 2 mana, and 3 mana cards that you'll play more of, as compared to having special decks where it's just all odd cards. You could do that, but you need more slots, and if they're going to give us more quests like that, we need another row. Get it up to 27. I guess there's really nothing else to report on. If they've canceled production of the game, they canceled the production of the game. We'll see some Japanese games that try to be online only in the Koreas, but sold at full price in the West. And we'll see some Asian games like that, but I don't think we'll see any more Western games try to go that direction. Generally, the Asian games that are like microtransactions or online games like that, and are the more Asian games that are slightly lewd and have a smaller audience that's willing to pay more money compared to the Western style of making games, which is the game has to be as big of a seller as possible and appeal to the vast majority of people. Moving on, Gamasutra has an article. THQ Nordic, soon to rename themselves to THQ, I'm sure, has acquired the German developer and publisher Handyman. I'm sorry, not Handyman, Handy Games, for an undisclosed sum, noting that it plans to use the company as an international publisher for small and mid-sized developers and arts projects.
The light protects me.
I am not sure I really agree that THQ Nordic has done much or enough to imagine themselves a publisher or a good publisher. I think just off the top of my head, I would argue that Gearbox has made more steps to being a good publisher than THQ Nordic has. Let's see.
I will be your doom. Ready?
let's see. Indie Games made games like Townsman and Cloud and Sheep. And Indie Games will retain its location and all employees, including management, as a THQ Nordic-owned company. I'm imagining, though, when you say something like that, that could change at the drop of a hat. This move comes less than a month after THQ Nordic raised a total of $168 million to fund further future acquisitions. But even before raising the money, the company had been on a years-long acquisition spree that has seen it gain ownership of several studios and IP. Like, a lot of money being spent there. Like, maybe we're as a video game industry and as well dropping the ball and not realizing that maybe this is a China-like effort for the Nordic government to own the video game industries and own the narrative there. I don't know what if THQ Nordic has any investment from any company that is funded by the Nordic government. This is a tinfoil hat theory, certainly, but maybe. And like, I don't know what the Nordic government particularly would try to influence or change narrative-wise. We haven't, to my knowledge, can't think of any instances or things that came off as awkward or inaccurate in any of the games. Like, how do you change Darksiders, for instance, to have some political speech or something in it? We'll see in the next game. One of the things on Darksiders 3 that they need to be careful with, I would say, is if they turn Fury into too feminine in a general stereotype way of a character. All the four horsemen of the apocalypse, in my mind, should be very badass characters. So if you give her a protective streak where she's like protecting the surviving humans on Earth, because I believe her story is taking place before like the other two games. That's kind of weird. If you give her a love interest, that's kind of weird. And she can't really have a love interest with any of the other four horsemen because they're all brother and sister in Nephilim. At least they call each other brother and sister, and that they all are Nephilim from the storyline. And they didn't certainly make the mother of death and all the Nephilim. What is her name? I'm gonna have to remember. It's Lilith. Yes, Lilith, the apocryphal first wife of Adam, who was turned into a demon, and then was the mother of all demons, apocryphally speaking. Like, they didn't make her too weak or feminine, and so there's a good chance they wouldn't do this. They wouldn't do that with their main character either. But that is a plot hole that certainly could be. A plot mistake that certainly could be done. Moving on now, I'm probably just gonna keep going talking about Darksiders 3 until it comes out. I'm gonna be pretty obsessed about it, and then I'm not gonna buy the game because I won't have any money for it, and so I won't even play it when it's brand new. Honestly, I don't think there's any game on the top of my list that I would prefer to play day one over Darksiders 3. Even if it's a bad game, I kind of want to play it and experience that as it is.
Here we go.
at the beginning of the release than have other people play it and tell me it's bad. And if it's a great game, I certainly don't want to see other people play it. So I guess for this stream, my e-beg thought would be, when that pre-order comes up, see if you can pre-order and gift what I assume will be the deluxe edition with the season pass version of Darksiders 3. I'm not sure if there will be a season pass or any of that, but more than likely there will. That would certainly be nice. We've got a game on Steam, and a lot of these games are going to be bad because I didn't filter out any of them. It's called Let's Go There and Wander Nowhere, and the only explanation is going home isn't easy, and it's labeled as indie and no other tags. So this seems like it's just a walking simulator of some sort, and maybe not even that much. Seems like it's kind of a nothing game. It's free to play, however, but there's definitely issues with this game. There's like 4 Steam achievements. Let's look at the developer. It's the first game for this developer. Yeah, can't say anything about a game like that because it's just got nothing to say. See, let's try a druid this time. I was close on that. Anyways, we have this game, Jewel Match Solitaire, which is being published by Grey Alien Games, the publisher of Regency Solitaire. This game looks a lot like Regency Solitaire, but it's not made by the same company. I imagine these games are made using a Solitaire engine that pre-exists. It's available July 26th, and the reason I ended up on this is because I follow the creators of Regency Solitaire, because they actually interacted with me and talked to me when I was covering Regency Solitaire, which the weirdness there certainly is that if a small team can interact with people who tweet them on Twitter, why don't these big companies' PR teams interact and respond to more people? Like, I don't get responses when Riven comes out from Cyan. I don't get responses from Gunfire Games when what is it, the game that's airing right now that they're liking? They're liking it every day, so I do get that small response, but they don't talk. They don't give any indication that they're actually watching the videos or anything. And it's really unfair for me to even name companies, because of my over 5,000 videos I've made, of the over probably 100 games I've covered, 99.9% of the companies that I tweet don't give any response or anything like that. And it feels like you could. It feels like there would be no problem with the PR team at least thinking about responding. Heck, I'd be happy if it was just, hey, thanks for playing our game. Moving on, we have a game called Fairyland Power Dice. Get the power crystals changed to closer to the way. Get the fairy. This is that game where you roll dice and you go around the board, and when you go around once, you can land on home. I want to call it Parcheesi, but I don't think that's the right name of this game. It's done with an RPG Maker-esque visual appeal. it might have some items, but I'm not sure it does, or any different rules. The graphics aren't great. It's single player or local multiplayer. They're claiming it's a massively multiplayer in the tag, but actually it doesn't have any online support. It's 35% off for $1.49 as part of the Fairyland bundle for $5.48. I've got Steam Charge and Steam Spy installed and running, so but they're not giving me any information, certainly because these games are so new and they have no reviews. So the original, the Fairyland bundle game in general is only neutrally rated. Or the original game called Fairyland that's appearing actually doesn't link to anything anymore. Now you have to buy the bundle in a bait and switch attempt, basically. Have to keep on playing. Next game we have is called Curse on Your Heads. It looks like a 8-bit pixel art game that might be one of these adventure, point and click adventure games. Let's see. I'm seeing a video where the character is a detective and he's just picking up a box and walking around and placing it down. This feels like a game that could just be a keyboard game where you walk around and press spacebar. So yeah, this feels like it's not an extremely long game, and if it doesn't rise to the level of a very low effort game, it feels like it's a low effort game. This is $3.99 to purchase with no discount. It's in English and Russian, which again gives me the impression that it's a low effort game.
You can't have it! Try one!
And one of these plugins that I've got running actually tells me the price of things across the world. So for instance, this $3.99 game is only the equivalent of $1.62 if I bought it in, I think that would be Pyongyang. It says 102 and then a P, a Y, and then a number 6 looking symbol. So yeah, I don't know if that's Pyongyang. Comparatively, it seems like if you buy it in Russian dollars, there's an R and a dollar sign. It's $2.25. Or if I buy it in yen, it's 410 yen. So, like, what does that really mean for anybody? It just tells me that for each of these currencies, you would need somebody in that region to buy a game for you and gift it to you, to manipulate the exchange rates, which Steam, I think, will eventually get mad at you for doing that too. You probably can get away with it a couple times. Let's see.
You can't have it!
Let's get rid of this one. And then in the turn. Yep, that's way too much time though to spend on Curse Curse in Our Heads. It's not Curse Your Heads, it's Curse in Our Heads. Didn't even get the name right. TechRaptor has an article, The Weird and Wonderful World of VR at E3 2018. Let's see. There's apparently a game called Anderson and Kaisu, Kaisuo. They're puzzle-based games based on smaller locations. Anderson isn't too far from a escape the room style game. A hilarious robot tries to help you out of a trapped room. Kaisu, which is apparently a different game, on the other hand, is a puzzle-based game based around the Chinese puzzle blocks. Both games offered unique and creative puzzles, which is scratching my head a bit. I don't know why you would have a paragraph talking about two different puzzle games.
I don't need any of you.
Play this.
Beetleberries, my favorite.
And then give your minions +1 attack, why not? And then give your minions +1 attack again. Although I probably should have taken the 12 armor. The next game they have is called Arca's Path. This game sees a girl named Arca who's discovered a mask that transports her to the digital world. The closest comparison I can make is bringing up the Super Monkey Ball series. You don't use a controller at all, rather Arca just moves towards what you're looking at. Since Arca is a ball in the digital world, she is constantly moving. You can see you can look closer to her to slow her down and further away to make her speed up. And I'm looking at a screenshot, and I wouldn't say she's really a ball, she's more like a hexadetron. But yeah, I can see the Super Monkey Ball references. Other game they have is Creed Rise to Glory and Electronauts. Creed Rise to Glory would be a boxing game and potentially the first good boxing game in VR. Let's see.
What to do?
I've lost.
For the wild.
I would have survived had I taken the 12 armor. Let's see. Creed might be a good boxing game in VR. It might be a bad one. And then the other game they were talking about is Electronauts. Man, the way they've put two paragraphs together to cover two games is just horrible writing on TechRaptor's part. Like, I'm trying to like TechRaptor. I'm really trying to like them and maybe find a couple other story sites that would replace PC Gamer, who I don't really like. But if they're gonna have this poor level of framing, I can't read the articles. Let's see. Electronauts, you don't really have a goal other than to rock out. You're a DJA listening to a song and given all certain ways to alter it. So why mix the boxing game with a DJ game in the same paragraph? Feels like they had different people go and look at two games each and then turn in their articles, and the editor didn't do anything. And this is from what they saw at E3, which was like 2 weeks ago. There was plenty of time to edit this. Next game is Transference, which is a psychological horror game we saw during the presentations. And then next game is Home Sweet Home, a horror game heavy in Thai themes. Let's see. And Home Sweet Home is already out on PC, so I'll just open that link. And then next game is Heavy Fire Red Shadow. I really do want to learn some of these, about some of these games, but certainly is taking a lot of time. We're gonna go late at this rate.
Choose soon.
Heavy Fire Red Shadow is the next game.
Truth is found in death.
They're saying the game is a reworking of IS Defense and has the same gameplay style and upgrades and environments and enemy types. And they're also saying that they rated IS Defense with a 2 out of 10, and they got a lot of angry comments about it. So like that's something that you don't need in your article, frankly, is being bitter, angry, or defensive, or just hostile because people didn't like your articles in the past. I see that a lot in mainstream video game journalism. It's like you just gotta leave that bitterness down. Like I see that a lot in mainstream journalism in general, and it's just not a good place to be. Let's see. This, and then this. And then here, here,
I fight.
here.
Here we go.
I just realized that if you play this card with all of these 1/2s, you turn them all to 2 1s and double the amount of damage they can do. This is one of these HS replay decks that I didn't build, so I'm not even understanding the strategy. Next game they talk about, whatever Heavy Fire Red Shadow is Moss, which is the mouse game. Next game is Gungrave VR, which Gungrave I believe is a bullet hell shooter type game. So let's see. There's a third person and first person level. You run around full moment over grave, allowing them to run around an open area. And no, it's not it's a mech game, I bet. That would make more sense.
Reality breaks.
So that locks him down to that point.
Here we go.
And move there. There's not enough pictures in this. The next game they have is Firewall 0 Hour. So that's a PSVR title. They were also at E3 showing off Ghost Giant, Astrobot Rescue Mission, and Megalith at the PSVR booth. This article. Next article talks about Ghost Giant. Next article talks about Astrobot Rescue Mission. This article just does not work. This is a terrible article. There's not enough pictures, and each one of these could have been their own page that they released instead of this giant combination of things. And I've been following TechRaptor, and I didn't see individual pages on the VR games. So maybe TechRaptor has such a low opinion of VR that they don't deserve their own articles, but that makes no sense. That's not how journalism on the internet works. Alright, so I'm looking at Home Sweet Home right now on Steam, and it is rated very, very positive for $16.99. Can you play it without... Oh wow, one of my plugins actually has how long to beat on it too. So what I'm trying to see here is if this game requires VR. It seems like the PC version does not support VR at all. So I could buy Home Sweet Home right now and play it. So I'll wishlist that. Unless I come back and find out it doesn't work in VR. Otherwise it's rated very positive. Moving forward, that article was way too much of a waste of time. I should have, if I had infinite time and was way ahead on recording footage instead of being actually very behind on recording footage, I would go and read half the articles first and just, you know, skim them, make sure that there's some bit of information worth reporting there. PC Gamer has an article, went over $600 worth of Sega goodies from Fanatical. More and more it feels like Fanatical does not, they simply don't bother to donate any of the money like Humble Bundle did. And Humble Bundle is just not making any Humble Bundles anymore. That's because Fanatical, well, I believe it was IGN or somebody that bought out Fanatical. And so they're shifting the... I got a new follower on Facebook. Yeah, I don't check Facebook very often.
So many.
I don't need any of you.
So it feels like it's been at least a full month since there's been any new Humble Bundle at all for games. If you get things on Fanatical, you're still getting Steam keys. I guess there is this chance that I'm gonna have to stop talking about Humble Bundle, because if 2 or 3 months go and that just doesn't happen, like, yeah, I guess to deal with that later. Yeah, then there really is no reason to talk about the Humble Bundle. And the thing about the Humble Bundle was always that it was a nice thing to have and do because you were giving to charity and getting discounts for games. If you're just getting discounts for games, then I have to put it in the same field as all the other places where you could get games and Steam codes, and arguably then it gets to the question, do I want to support GTA who seems to not do enough to prevent stolen keys from being sold and traded? Do I want to promote any other assortment of places where sales happen? Because there's a lot of sales that happen and I just don't talk about them. We've got a new game on Steam called Rite of Passage, the Lost Tides Collector's Edition. So, with Collector's Edition at the end and a name like that's generic but unique, you know it's from Big Fish Games and it's a hidden object game. And it is their standard $12.99. Unless, of course, you're paying in pounds, then it's actually $13.67. Wow. Getting all these new plugins on Steam is not helpful as far as keeping what I talk about short and sweet. Moving on, PC Gamer, in case you didn't get it, I have no interest in a Big Fish game at full price, hidden object games. I'm not sure I have any interest in hidden object games in general at this point. That I think I've played enough of them. PC Gamer has an article. Tencent plans to take its Steam-like Wii game store global, and the international variation of the storefront is under development. So, the thing about Wii game is, I don't know if this is... I kind of have this knee-jerk thought that the Wii game is a complete Steam ripoff and clone because Steam wasn't allowed in China, and now it's trying to go global and compete and be a ripoff clone in the rest of the world. And of course the Chinese people have been doing Wii game and not Valve, or they've been VPNing outside of the Great Firewall to do Valve games, which they probably have done more of that, frankly, because Wii game is going to be a heavily censored and very small selection. PC Gamer is writing this from their bitter, we want censorship on Steam, we want to bully Steam attitude, so they're like, well, Steam's doomed now because Wii game is going to try to come to the West. It's not going to succeed, I guarantee you. There's very little that could happen here that would make it seem, other than the fact that Tencent owns League of Legends Studio Right Games and has holdings in Epic, Activision Blizzard, Robot Entertainment, and more. So there could be a collection of games that I don't believe are on Steam right now that go to Wii game.
Job's done.
Of course, Japan and Nintendo are going to have a problem with the name Wii game in general. With the Nintendo Wii and all of that. So we'll see how it turns out. Like, more of an effort by Tencent more than anybody to control the industry, for better or worse.
Come, my pretty bird.
Let's see, moving on, PC Gamer has an article. Monster Hunter World system requirements have been announced. So, Monster Hunter World arrives next month for PC, and the recommended specs are Windows 7, 8, 8.1 or 10, an i7 3770 3.4 GHz, or an i3 8350 GHz, or Ryzen 5 1500X. 8 GB of RAM, an NVIDIA GTX 1060. I have a 970, which I think sort of beats that, but might be slightly below it. I guess that is more indication that I need to start thinking about replacing my video card, and I guess don't worry, I've been thinking about it for quite a while. And, like, I'm pretty much guaranteed that as soon as a little bit of reviews have happened for an 1180, an 1190, if they come out with the 90 series, I'll get that. Let's see, 20 gigabytes of space, direct sound, capable sound cards, mouse, keyboard, game pads, 30 frames per second on 1080p high graphics settings. It doesn't look like Monster Hunter World will run at 60 frames per second, so some people are going to complain about that.
Job's done.
And in a weird way, This is also the announcement of the Monster Hunter World PC's release date, because PC Gamer has another article, Monster Hunter World PC release date announced, and it's soon. It's coming out August 9th, 2018. So I'm fine with the Japanese not really announcing the games super early, as long as they can actually hit those dates and they don't end up delaying them some more. Japanese companies have a tendency to delay things, and that's where the frustration comes in. Let's see. +1/+1. And lose the game. We have somebody on the chat saying, "Sup, brah? Hey, how's it going?"
Blessings to you.
Tech Raptor has an article, GOG weekly sale features stout spacefarers or crime scene cleaners. This is really just an ad for the Good Old Games sales. Again, I'm gonna have to question when and where I want to talk about sales, what sales are helpful and useful to talk about, and what sales aren't. Good Old Games, I would argue, is not my prerogative because I'm not really doing non-Steam games. I want everything on Steam. I have too many games on Steam to get to move to Good Old Games, and Good Old Games just doesn't handle every single game. They don't let everything in their site, and they don't give you Steam keys, so like there's a problem there. Let's see. Michael said, "Good man." Alright, well, it's been an hour, so let's break up this recording. I think there's no reason to stretch out episodes. We'll probably do 4 episodes at this rate today. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on Twitter, Tumblr, Google+, Steam, or Battle.net, all of those links are down below in the description box. And if you want to support me even further, I'm asking people to friend me on Steam and gift me a game or a gift card. I guess Darksiders 3 is my e-begging request right now. If somebody wanted to, as soon as that became available for pre-order, gift that to me, that would be great. Can't really think of anything else that I'm even really hyped for by this time in Christmas. I don't know what really is coming out, and that's kind of a sad statement since E3 and the Tokyo Game Show, no, not Tokyo Game Show, but E3 and Anime Expo both happened in the last couple of weeks, and Anime Expo is more of an anime convention, but they announced a bunch of Japanese games there, and E3 announced almost all the AAA games coming out, and none of them really have too much to interest me. Anyways, I was wrapping up. That's it. Thank you for watching.